For almost 30 years, 75 Chrome Shop has been a family-run business with a dedicated team of longtime employees. We stay ahead of the curve in the ever-changing trucking industry, providing top-notch customer service and product knowledge. Whether you're looking for the latest chrome accessories or hard-to-find parts, we've got you covered. We offer aftermarket chrome for all big rigs, custom vinyl lettering, acrylic signs, and tags. Our 10,000 square foot facility, the oldest chrome shop in the South, houses a mechanic shop for oil and tire changes and chrome installation. Plus, we have a huge selection of lights for every vehicle on the road. Don't miss our annual truck show every April featuring over 200 trucks and family-friendly entertainment. Visit 75 Chrome Shop today, your truck's new best friend. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goblay, and we have a special guest today, a former quarterback for the South Sumter High School Raiders, and he is now a current coach on the staff, our quarterback coach. So without further ado, we want to welcome Mr. Garhett Miller. Garhett, welcome to the show, brother.
I appreciate you having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I've been struggling a little bit with some back issues, just like I have been the last 2 or 3 years,
Right.
Doing school right now. It's been a struggle, but, I've been pretty stressed this last week because I got dropped from all 4 of my classes because of an issue at the school. I had to go up to the school, resolve it, got put back into the class, I got reinstated, had to speak to the dean of student affairs, this and that. Plus, trying to coach at the high school, we had last 2 weeks have been pretty big. I mean, Niceville, and then Forest, was kind of like that bounce back game. And then we got a big week now, so just trying to get back into the groove of things.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
And I've been trying to. There's several people on here, guys. I'm trying to. It's like I'm herding chickens, trying to get them. And schedules are conflicting and everything. And but yeah, I was there the day. Well, I wasn't there the day, but I was one of the days that your back was out. We did CPR training together, and if you remember that, and man, it was hard giving those compressions, that back going out, but
we had to do it on the tape. Me and D-Dub, Darian, we had to do it on the table because I couldn't bend down.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the 2 days prior, I was helping my brother move something, picked up something heavy. My back and everything my neurosurgeon told me not to do, I did. And, I just trying to help out, trying to speed up the process of moving stuff. And
right.
All of a sudden, my back was I remember I went with my mom later that evening and I was trying to fish. I couldn't even stand up. And I think a day or two later, I was doing the CPR, and I didn't know if I could even make that because of how bad it was hurting. It was bad.
Yeah, hopefully no one needs medical attention, so you have to put them on a table first.
It would not be good.
It would not be good. We'd have Darian pick them up on the table, and you could do the CPR.
There you go.
It would be a joint effort.
What's the cool thing about it is we practice that way. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, what's the old saying? You play how you practice.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, myself included with the whole back thing. Oh man, the job before this job, I used to unload furniture, office furniture. It was a summer job, and you go to a school, you meet up at the school, the semi rolls up, and I'm talking about literally rolls up. This guy's coming from another, I think, Canada or, somewhere north. He's like, man, I've been on 95 for the last day and a half. And I'm like, oh my God. And he pulls up, literally opens the door, and it's walled. I mean, you couldn't put a credit card in where the boxes are. Like, it's jam-packed full of furniture. So at the time, I'm probably 34 years old, 35 years old. And I'm like, man, let me just show these guys how to do it. off the trucks and on the job, you know what I'm saying? You got to go. So they open the doors, and there's no ramp. This guy had no ramp. So you had to climb up. Then there's nowhere to stand. So you're like holding on like a chimp, you know, hold on to a box, and you're trying to pull out like a filing cabinet box out, you know, or a desk or something like that. And you're hoping that it's easy to do. That way you can get to a little spot where you can put your feet down. But I must have yanked on a box the wrong way, and like nerve damage right here, bro. I mean, literally, like that night I went home and I had to sleep like I was being operated on, like crucified, like laid out, full arm extent, because I couldn't lay them normal because it was just shooting pain like a pinched nerve straight down both arms, and it was awful.
Oh, well, I can 100% relate to you, because that's mainly what was affecting me during my time. Was I had a herniated disc. I had 2 herniated discs and it caused nerve damage and that shooting pain going down my leg. It was my sciatic nerve. It was a constant thing that just, it bugged me to the end of the world, and I can relate. I can really relate.
It was very painful. So, and it comes and goes still. It's still with me. And I probably could go to the doctor, but I'm not, it's like at the time I was like, no, I'm good. Took a couple, a leave or whatever. And that seems to be like my go-to.
I gotcha.
I call it my painkiller. It's not a painkiller. It's just a leave. It's like the most watered down version of a painkiller.
Well, if it helps you, it helps you.
Oh, yeah. But then that just shows you that everybody's different, Some people can take 2 Tylenol and be like, hey, how you doing? Like they've had like 5 or 6 drinks. And then there's someone who has to take, their unrecommended dose. They pop in, they read like, take 2 every. I'm gonna multiply that by 4.
I was that exact, especially playing my first year truly outside the house, and first year of college, playing college football. I mean, with everything going on, I would take ibuprofen. I would take anything. I shouldn't say this. I would take anything legally I could get my hands on, and
over the counter. Yeah.
There you go. And it's still. I mean, it wouldn't. I can remember. We practiced at our college because in Florida it gets really hot, so. We started practice, I believe, at 4:15, 4:30 in the morning. We'd get there, and it's just automatically starting. And I'd get back, practicing's at 7:30. My luck is we roomed in our dorms. We had 2 other roommates, including myself.
Right.
And
right.
You were not lucky if you had an 8:15 class. But the funny thing about it is, all 3 of us had an 8:15 class, so we're getting out of practice at 7:20, getting back to the dorm at 7:30, 7:35, depending on the day. And, we still have to eat breakfast. We have to take showers because we just got done with practice. And I can remember I'd let them go first because I was okay with showing up a little late to my class because, I would lay against the shower wall, basically. I would lean up against it, my head down, letting the water hit me because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
It was gruesome. So anytime I hear somebody that has any type of nerve issues or especially neurological issues, I can always relate because it is one of the worst things I think you can experience. So.
Yeah, I know everybody's dealing with pain. People are like, suck it up, but I think there's a certain point where you can't anymore, and then it gets dangerous, like with a back issue. They can operate on you, but it's only going to last you about 15 years, and then they're only going to operate on you one more time. So it's like you're trying to plan out your life. You're like, when do I really need this, or a knee. It doesn't matter. Backs, knees are all the same. Hip replacement. They're only going to do so many. And it's like, when should I use this? Like you have that. You're playing Uno with that draw 4 card. You're like, I'm just waiting on somebody.
100%.
You're just waiting on. You're waiting on that moment, and it's like, man, even if I have the money to make another surgery happen, they're not going to do it. Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709.
Well, the scary part about it is like speaking with my neurosurgeon, I wouldn't say my back surgery was some extensive surgery compared to a lot of people, but it's not something that you want to do at a young age. But the healing process,
right,
time of recovery, everything that goes
right, into
it was a lot better at the age I got it at 19 years old compared
right,
to someone who maybe is in their later years. And I mean, speaking about it, I have an appointment. I can't even go to my neurosurgeon anymore because I got operated. My neurosurgeon was at All Children's. Once you turn 21, they will no longer see you. So for that specific department, and I actually have an appointment with, and I might butcher this, but Dr. Agazi. I spent a couple days researching good neurosurgeons. I spoke to my pediatrician right before I turned 21, and she's the one that recommended me. She said, Garrett, if you can go to any hospital, or I would go to All Children's around this area specifically.
Right.
I could go to Miami, but it was just something I didn't want to do with the drive home.
Right.
And she told me to go to All Children's. Second best option would be Shands. If it's none of them, she would consider waiting.
Yeah.
And I actually have an appointment on, I want to say October 13th. It's the night we play Vanguard at Booster Stadium. And I think the appointment's at 2:30 down in Tampa, and Coach Lawrence is telling me, he told me, he's like, well, if that's the earliest you can get in, you need to go do that. I don't know if I can go do that and then try to make it up there, and I want to be there for our team. So
well maybe it'll be something that you can kind of just like, maybe it's not going to be like a session where you like, but then again you do walk in there and they go, hey, we're going to make you stay here for about 5 hours. And then you get seen, and it takes 20 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like really, you couldn't have just like maybe sent me an email or something.
Yeah, the drive is an hour with the wait time being 2 to 3,
exactly,
and then the consultation being a total of 10 minutes. So, it's a little frustrating, but it's what you have to do.
And look, you have to take care of yourself.
100%.
Because don't do anything that you're going to delay that, and then where you don't get the treatment you need. And then all of a sudden you're SOL, brother.
100%.
And then you're disabled.
Well, they say what is it? Health is wealth. I mean, you should. I feel like investing in yourself. Yeah. Especially, I mean, at the end of the day, I know I'm always going to probably deal with these issues like plenty of other people in the world. I'd rather try to take care of it now and do things now for the future. Than wait, try to be the tough guy and then put it off, and then I'm regretting the rest of my life. I can't even get out of bed without someone helping me up. So that's something I don't want to do.
Well, there's a lot of people there's a lot of people I know. I'm not going to name any names. But in my family, who waited a very long time to go see a doctor. And then chaos broke out. And now it's like you're trying to play catch up, And there's no telling. I'm throwing a stab at someone in my family. I'm just saying. But you never know. That could have been avoided, and it could have just happened. You don't know. It could have been something preventable. Maybe not. And maybe it's something you develop later on. And, I mean, they always say if it's not broke, don't fix it.
100%.
So why would you go and...
But the scary part about it is the unknown factor of like, will it get, and that's kind of where I'm at. Will it get better with time, with maybe doing certain exercises, or limiting how often I'm on my feet or sitting down, or will it just get progressively worse over time where I don't know. I go to the best doctor in the world, and at the end of the day, they don't know 100% certainty that it will be a certain way.
Yeah.
So that I feel like that will always play a factor into a lot of people not making a certain decision. I remember I talked to maybe 7 or 8 people where they talked about they told me to put off the back surgery.
Right.
They didn't know if it would need, more or less than what they anticipated. Once they go in, it's usually never fixed. The same thing with like a spinal fusion.
Right.
I mean, I've talked to plenty of people. I've talked to maybe 10 people who've had a spinal fusion, and I think maybe of the 10, 9 were failures. They had to go do it again. Now, Coach Baker at the high school, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure he got a spinal fusion of some sort, and he's 100% good to go. I mean, that he works his tail off out there, and he looks like he's pretty good. I mean, he doesn't look like he's in pain. So,
yeah, I think a lot of people, it's hit or miss, and you could. And that's why there's so many different doctors, because there's so many people that, like one doctor can prescribe this thing. Well, it worked for this guy, but it didn't work for that guy. Well, then are you that guy? Are you this guy? What category do you fall into? Can you, I was listening to the podcast with Russell Crowe on Joe Rogan. He's allergic to cortisone.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Joe's like, good God. It's a good thing you found that out. Look, you're going to be in trouble.
I have to say this.
Yeah.
Do you watch South Park at all?
I do.
Do you remember the episode of Russell Crowe and it's like fighting around the world? I can remember being itty bitty. My parents, I hate to say this, but my parents didn't really care if I watched things that maybe weren't age appropriate.
Yeah.
So, I remember going on vacation trips to Gallenberg, Tennessee, and I had a little portable DVD player in the back seat, and I still do to this day. I have every single season of South Park on DVD, and I can remember the fighting around the world episode where he's just. I watched it not too long ago. He's just trying to fight random people. He has a little tugboat, and he goes along and stuff. I mean, I didn't know who Russell Crowe. I still don't know who Russell Crowe really is, other than the South Park episode.
Really? You've never seen Gladiator?
I have not seen Gladiator.
Have you ever seen 310 to Yuma?
I have not.
Garrett, come on, bro.
I have.
Dude, he was in Noah. You ever see that one? I was wow. If you, I just made a whole joke right there. If you haven't seen Gladiator and you haven't seen 310 to Yuma, I don't know why I asked you. What would you see? Noah?
I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever watched a Russell Crowe movie. I mean, if you showed me a picture of him, I might be able to tell who he is based off the South Park character. But other than that,
do you like westerns? Like do you like?
I've never watched. Coach Coburn was talking to me the other day about it.
Even if you don't like westerns, 310 to Yuma, it's a remake. There was an older version of the original. We say older now. There was an original version, but sometimes the remakes are not good. The picture I have over here, that's the Magnificent Seven. That's there you go. That's the Magnificent Seven. That's the original bad guys.
I gotcha.
And they just remade a new one, but I didn't really think it was as good as the old one.
It never is.
But I think 310 to Yuma was great. You gotta watch it. It's so good.
I was talking to my mom on the way here, and she was telling me, we were talking about watching. Like I watched, this isn't maybe comparable, but I watched the newer Red Dawn, like
Oh yeah, with Patrick Swayze, yeah.
And then I watched the original not too long ago with him, and was I a huge fan of it? No. It was different, but I think you can have some appreciation for those older movies. I've never watched a Western, I don't think.
Yeah.
Not knowingly.
Well, I mean, see, I grew up, my grandparents watched Westerns. My dad would watch Westerns. As a child, my favorite my hero was a guy named Roy Rogers. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with it. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. And if you ask, it's amazing how things evolve generations. In the 50s and 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Roy Rogers was about as big as Taylor Swift. I know that's no joke. And I hate to use that analogy, but she's very popular, 100%. Is what I'm saying. He was very 50s and 60s. That was like, that's when Westerns were in. Like, they were like the genre, like when action movies hit, 90s and 2000s. Like, some of the best action movies were 80s, 90s, whatever. But that genre, Hollywood kind of just started evolving. They were starting to make movies. That was when, it was like half of his movies. He made 189 movies. Yeah, that's how. Now, were they blockbuster hits? No. But he still made 189 movies.
That's crazy. That is insane.
So as a kid, I emulated him. I wanted to be every kid. You want to be a quarterback, or you want to be a cowboy or fire. It's a boy thing. And I remember him, and he had a Trigger was his horse. It was a golden Palomino, beautiful horse, which I found out later that someone told me that's a girl's horse. but this horse was like super smart. Could like do tricks, and basically was a Hollywood Trigger was a star himself. And of course they've had several horses during the years, but the original Trigger. And so anyways, that's who I like clung to. That was my hero. But Westerns are, they're not as popular now because nobody cares. I don't think anybody cares anymore. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. But my grandparents would watch them, both my mom's side and my dad's side. They all, and both of them. I watched Roy Rogers, so they loved him too because they knew who he was. And my granddad on my dad's side, he loved John Wayne. You know who John Wayne is? Okay, thank God. Okay, well, you know who John Wayne is. So these are popular, iconic people. But it's amazing how generations, the gap. You could go. I bet you. I'm gonna try this next time I'm at the high school. Say, hey, do you know who Roy Rogers is? Now, if they do know Roy Rogers, is because of the restaurant. That's the only thing people associate with him anymore. I mean, he's been dead for 20 years, 25 years. But he had a restaurant. It was almost like a kind of like a Zaxby's. But it was Roy Rogers Chicken or whatever. And then all the stars had their own restaurants and stuff back then. It was just what they did.
Did you ever eat there?
I did in Pittsburgh.
Was it good?
Yeah. It was all right.
Well, see, like you say Zaxby's. I'm not a big fan of Zaxby's.
Yeah.
I speaking about famous people, I went down with a good buddy of mine. He was home from leave from the Army. He was coming home from South Korea. Was about to go be sent to Texas, and we're trying to spend some time together. We're going on to Clearwater for a couple days.
Yeah,
we went to Hulk Hogan's restaurant. And
yeah,
do you like it?
I've never ate there, but I've been there.
I heard it's a really cool experience on, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
Monday night they have karaoke.
Well, apparently he shows up.
He shows up because he lives right down the road.
Well, I hate to judge it based off this, but I got like the nachos.
Yeah.
And you'd think that they would be able to nail some nachos. I mean, it's been like a bar, and it was not good. Just soggy little tortilla chips and stuff. And I hate to say that, but it was not a good experience for me.
Well, I got a story for you about Hulk Hogan, but it just depends on who's working there. You can have I've been to a 5-star restaurant and it wasn't good, but the atmosphere was great. I mean, you could eat off the floor. You literally could eat off the floor. But if someone's not having a good day, I always associate that with sports because it's a team effort. You could cook the best steak, but the other guy's making whatever it is. You don't know what he's got going on in his life, and he might be like, I need to go out there and smoke a cigarette, because our restaurant life is different. I mean, everybody knows that. And cigarette is probably the first thing away from what I really wanted to say. And I'm not saying everybody's like that. I'm just saying I've been in that situation, and they're like, man, I wish I had, something. I'm not going to say it, but back when I used to work at McDonald's, and that's what they want to smoke a cigarette outside. They couldn't wait. They're like cleaning it up real fast. I'm like, dude, where are you going? I gotta go smoke a cigarette. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't understand addiction. I didn't understand that, but
especially that was probably their 5th one that hour.
Yes,
they're running outside.
Yeah, they got 5.
They're just smoking them things.
But I associate that with teamwork, and obviously it's a team effort, and it's from the very start to the very end of the experience. That's the theme park side of me talking. Like when you meet somebody, the encounter when they first set foot on soil to when they leave, it's a production. It's a whole entire production. And when you understand that, it makes sense. But you're like, dude, it's just popcorn, or it's just French fries, or whatever. It's a hamburger from McDonald's. But there's a lot of people that don't take pride in their work. How many times have you been through McDonald's and you open the burger and it's like they just threw it up against the wall
a bunch
and then caught it on the other side of the bun, and they must have used a whole bottle of ketchup on it.
What? I have a really funny story for you that about McDonald's, and
then I got to go back to Hulk Hogan. I forgot.
So I don't remember. I think I was leaving practice one day, and I can remember this was a year or two ago. I was really stressed out. I had a big assignment due for a class.
Yeah.
And I procrastinate a lot. I pushed it off to the last minute. I was like, I can get this done in 3 hours. So I stopped at McDonald's in Bushnell on the way home. And I was like, you know what? I'll get the crispy chicken sandwich. So I order it. I don't even check I'm an overthinker. I want to check everything, make sure it's there. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. Just roll it up, head on home. So I get home, I sit down to eat, open the bag, open the box, and all of a sudden, there's the crispy chicken sandwich. It has the bun, the lettuce, the mayonnaise, the tomato. The other bun, there's no chicken. There's no chicken.
No way.
I swear to you. I took a picture. I called the McDonald's. I was like, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was like, now I have to go back out. I live in Brooksville, so now I have to go back out in Brooksville to get a different meal. I probably wouldn't have, chose McDonald's if I was somewhere else, and now I have to go get another meal. I mean, they made it up to me. They gave me, I think they brought me down some manager book thing, but I mean, I was a little upset. I was like, if you forgot the tomato, that's one thing. You forgot the chicken.
Yeah.
The chicken.
Yeah.
On a crispy chicken sandwich. Insane. Absolutely insane.
So going back to what I said, or I was going to tell you about Hulk Hogan, it was this time last year. Last year, it was Labor Day weekend, and he was just on Joe Rogan. I was listening to the podcast before I went over there, and I'm in his shop, and I'm just like browsing, and I like to wear the old nostalgic, like the Hulkamania shirts or the NWO shirts, and I'm walking around, and the guy at the counter gets a phone call. He puts on speaker, and it's Hulk Hogan, brother. And he really talks like that. He goes, all right, brother, I'll be there in a minute, brother. And I'm like, that's freaking Hulk Hogan. So I know he was going to come down there and sign some stuff. And I was like, man, it would be so cool to see him. And I think he went to the restaurant. I kind of floated back and forth. But he lives like right down the road from there. So, but I've heard he's a really, really nice guy, really cool guy. You talk about Hulk Hogan and Roy Rogers when I was growing up. Hulk Hogan was the man. Kona Ice. Kona Ice is a shaved ice truck that brings a one-of-a-kind tropical experience to you. Guests can flavor their own Kona Ice on our signature flavor wave, dance to our island music tunes, and enjoy a nutritious and delicious treat. Contact Jeremy and Marissa at 352-403-0515. Don't forget to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You know, there were several other guys. Mr. T, I always emulated. Love Mr. T. But there's other guys. But those are like these iconic people we grew up with. You know what I mean? Like they'll never die. But going back to McDonald's. When I worked there one time, in the old McDonald's at Bushnell, which is now the RV place right over there by Beef O'Brady's.
I gotcha.
They used to be McDonald's.
I did not know that.
Yes, and it was huge. I mean, it was pretty big. I mean, the lobby was huge, and they had a car inside, so it was all 50s doo-wop scene. Like there was a jukebox, and they had all the counter spaces where you could sit. They had like the little twisty seats where you could spin around on them and stuff. Very 50s themed, like a glorified Denny's, you know, like something like that. And one of my buddies used to work there, and he was the lobby shift. So the lobby shift was cake, man. It was 8 hours of just sweeping the floor or taking trash to the thing that people leave. Super easy. Take the trash out when it gets full, but you did nothing else, or at least I didn't. I mean, I didn't tell me to do anything else. So a buddy goes, it's break time, I'm gonna go get it. And I guess he'd worked early that morning, so he got his food, and he's behind the car eating, and he's like, man, I'm just gonna put my head down and take a little nap. Well, I don't know how long we got for a break, but it was over his break time. And we have one of the managers, her name was Jen. Jen's like, where is he at? Looking around, we can't find him. But he's in plain sight, but he's not, if that makes sense. You had to walk like toward the bathrooms. And so she's like, man, I don't know where he is. Maybe, and I'm hoping he didn't leave, you know, like you clock in, you go back home. So he's sitting there still asleep. She walks up, she goes, oh, there he is. And like he had the hot cakes with syrups and stuff. And so he's got his head down. She's like, hey, and he dumps all that stuff, all like he's like, you know, like all this stuff on him. He goes, oh, miss, I syruped on myself. She's like, it's time to go back to work.
I syruped on myself. That's a good one, right?
I syruped on myself. I said, wow.
He was tired.
Yeah, he was tired. I mean, I give him the benefit of the doubt. He was tired, but, you know, that was a great hiding spot. Now, there were other things that went on. There's a car, that car that's in there. It was all gutted out. I heard stories about that car, people getting in that car, you know, doing some, okay, anyways. But anyways, that was, they had to lock the doors. Like, you couldn't get in this thing. But it was all, like, if you popped the hood, there was nothing underneath it, like, except for, like, maybe, like, some of the chassis and stuff. But it was basically a prop. But it was just a different time. And but a lot of people forget about that. They're like again, the generation thing. Like you want to go to McDonald's? Do you know where the old McDonald's is? No, we only have one. It's right there. No, that's not it. That's not the one.
I can remember thinking about old Bushnell, or I don't know how you consider old, but I can remember me and my parents would come over we lived basically in Nobleton.
Yeah.
It was right over the Hernando County, Sumter County line, you know, or up until I was about 8. And
you're a river rat.
No, I was not.
I'm sorry.
I was not.
Please tell your mom and dad I'm sorry.
Yeah, I lived farther down 476. I was not a river rat, but
okay.
We would. So it was about the same drive to the Burkesville Walmart on 41 and the Bushnell Walmart. So we were like, okay, well, it's a good change up. Let's come to this one. And I can remember I'd go into Walmart and there was a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Was, it seemed like there was, Coyote Rojo.
Yeah.
I believe that was the name, was always popular. And then I come over here for high school and a lot of these things are gone. Now there is an Arby's. There's those different things, but I mean, it was a different place just when I came over here as a young child, not knowing anything about Bushnell, not knowing anything about Sumter County. It was cool. It really was.
Still had TJ's then. You ever get to go to TJ's? Oh my god!
I did eat there one time. It was we had takeout. I'm pretty sure Miss Shauna ordered it for Trevor and I, and it was good.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Yeah, they had the best Greek salad you've ever had in your life there, man. It was so good. It was so good. And every time I drive by there, which is quite often because we live right 2 blocks from it, I'm like, oh, what might have been?
See, I'm surprised. Do you know why they closed down?
I have no idea. I think the gentleman that owned it retired, and I think he was just like ready to get out of it. I don't know that. I mean, that happens so much. Like, there's a lot of businesses that have been open for like 30, 40 years, and people are just tired. And it's nothing against like the economy or where it was or people treated them badly. It was just because people are ready to go. They're ready to retire. They've been committed to a business for 40 years. They want to see the world before they leave. Check out. I mean, they want to make sure that they get that opportunity. 40 years is a long time.
100%.
I mean, that's a marriage
that's a lifetime commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but there are a lot of things. Bushnell used to have a putt-putt golf course, bro, back in the day. It's over by CDS.
When did it close?
Oh man, it was late. It was in the 90s.
Okay, I don't know why I thought maybe I would.
No, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have. But I'm just saying, like, they had Bushnell. The Walmart used to be over by in the same plaza as Howie's. It was at the very end. It was the sheriff's department at one time. Before that, it was Walmart. When they built it, was Walmart. But it was the brown Walmart. That's how you know when you're in a podunk town, they got a brown Walmart. It's not even blue. They're like, we can't even afford paint, guys.
You know what? I can remember. I'm pretty sure in my lifetime, I've seen a couple brown Walmarts, and
yeah. Oh no, they're
cool.
They're not just Bushnell. I mean, we went to church camp one year in Tennessee, and we stopped at one. I'm like, not another brown Walmart. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it was very small. Now they make them, and I call them the green Walmarts because it's
neighborhood markets.
Yes, the grocery store. They don't have all the furniture and stuff, or the home supply stuff. But yeah, it was almost like you were degrading that town because you had a brown Walmart, and then you go to Leesburg, which I try not to go to Leesburg, but not anything against Leesburg. It's just it's an interesting part of the town there. Especially around Christmas time, you gotta watch your back. But the Walmart there used to be where. Are you familiar with Leesburg?
I'm not.
No, it used to be another place too. It was where the Bell's Plaza is. But we were a guy I work with, Jeff Keller. We were talking about that. He grew up in Leesburg. He's like, Billy, you remember all the cool places? I'm like, well, most of them are food. Like restaurants we would always go to, or stores. My mom, that's where we would go. Bushnell wasn't big enough. We'd go to Leesburg. You always went to the bigger town. We had a mall back in the day. I mean, it's still there, but it ain't a mall anymore. That's more like a depressing, very, very depressing big building. Catfish Johnny's restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information.
It's the same way up in Crystal River. There used to be a mall up in Crystal River, wasn't there?
I don't know. We didn't. I mean, growing up, we never went that far. I didn't go to Crystal River until I was probably in high school. Yeah, my mom and dad never went to the coast. Never went there. We went to Pine Island.
Oh,
yeah, with the church group. So I mean, I was a teenager.
I got you.
Pine Island. Wow. Yeah.
I think being from Hernando County, and I can say I've only been there about once, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I've only been like 3 times my entire life.
I would always go to a big spot my mom and I used to go to, because when her dad was alive and her mom was alive, they would like to go, and they loved watching the sunset out in Bayport. They would worship out there. Now, when I went out there, I was little, and I would just look at the sunset, just be involved with the family.
Right.
But I felt like it was cool, but
time to reflect and stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
But that little area, to me, being around there nowadays, it's honestly a little depressing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Another place I would go sometimes in high school, there was 2 spots. It was the Preserves. Mm-hmm. You would park at, if you're heading down that road past Rogers Park, past the tower, there's a little marathon in the corner there. And you would park there. There's like this little parking lot for a little restaurant. Probably should have been towed away a bunch of times, but you would park there, you would walk down this trail, and you're at this thing called the Preserves. And I'll be honest, I can't swim. And I think they're old rock mines. So everybody I'd go out there with would jump. I mean, there was like a part where you could swim, you'd walk out there, there's this big preserve, and there was another one, and another one, another one. You would go out down this trail, make a left, make a right, and then you're basically at this point where there's an island with a hill and a rope swing where you got to swim across. So I'd watch everybody go across because, again, I can't swim. So, and I was not about to risk my life and put someone else in danger because I can't swim.
Bro, you could have put swimmies on or something, man.
But what's the crazy thing is? It was probably about a mile walk just out there.
Oh yeah, it's not worth that.
You bring a cooler and then everything else. I'm trying to lighten the load, not increase it. And to be honest with you, I hate cold water. I'm not a water person anyway because I can't swim. If I can't see the bottom, I'm just not getting in. So I would just watch everyone else have fun. I had a good time going out there. So
speaking of that, you maybe remind me. So I'm the same way about if I can't see water, I don't get in it. That goes for the ocean. If it's murky, I'm not getting in it. I don't trust it. I don't care if they have a lifeguard. I don't care if they have a helicopter flying over. I don't care. It's not happening.
Not at all.
So I was probably about 12 years old. Our youth group went to Wekiva Springs. Have you ever been there?
I have not.
It's a good time. Even though you don't like water, it's a good time. You can get on a kayak or a canoe, and you can canoe. It's a 7 mile windy, flowy. I don't want to say river because it's not really a river, but it's like a river. And it's fed by the aquifer, the spring. So you can park at the spring and launch there, or they have like one halfway down you can launch and then go either way. When you get to the end, they pick you up on a bus and they'll take you back to the parking lot. It's a pretty cool day. Something to do on a very hot day. It's very, very cool. Well, we went with our youth group. Well, I'd never been there before, and we eat lunch. They get everybody. We're playing the springs. You can actually go down. You can dive down in the spring, which I know you don't swim, but it's a very cool thing. It looks. It's got the shelving and stuff, kind of like a Little Mermaid. When she's collecting all the stuff she got, it looks like a shelf. You put stuff on. It's cool, where the water has cut out stuff. So we get done there, and they're like, "All right, guys, we're gonna launch the boats." I'm like, all right, cool. So we get in. There's like 25 we had a huge youth group. So we had probably about 25 kayaks or canoes. I think we were in a canoe because kayak you're like this far off the bottom, off the top of the water. And the kayak or the canoe you had a little more room, So it was me and my buddy Kenny. Kenny's in the back, and I'm doing he's doing the steering. I'm doing all I'm doing the work. And we get from the spring to where it starts to get windy, it kind of opens up into like a small lake. Pond, whatever, a bigger body of water, and you have to get past that, and it's deep. You have to get past that, and then it starts to wind itself down. So we're about midway, and two of my other buddies walk like paddle up, and they when somebody's gonna do something to you, and they're like they get that look in their eye, like that it's just like crazy eyes. And they paddle up and they start rocking the boat. And I'm terrified because I know one or two things are going to happen. This boat's either going to flip over or it's not. But I have the worst luck in the world. So I'm like, they're going to dump this boat over and then I got to swim, which I could swim. But I'm like, the first box that's checked off is you can't really see the water. It's not as clear as the spring was. And all I'm thinking is alligators.
Duteau Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsauken's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app.
So I'm like, and they end up flipping this freaking canoe over. And it was like in slow motion. And I get out, and I could have beat Michael Phelps. like there was like a tail, like a jet boat. I got over to the bank. I'm like hysterically crying. I'm like my whole life flashed before my eyes. So while I'm swimming, that I can remember, is I'm swimming next to a turtle. And the turtle's like, "What's up?" He really didn't say that, but that's what in my head. I'm like, oh my God, it's not an alligator, but that means there could be an alligator. And I just gaslit that thing. So I get to the side, and two other people pick me up in the canoe. Well, my buddy had flipped it back over. He's sitting in the canoe and he's just sinking. So Miss McClanahan was with us. She throws him a cooler and he starts trying to bail the water out. and he just had, and I was just ready to salute him. You go down with the ship, brother. It's your fault. You are.
Yeah, they should have flipped the canoe.
That's all you, brother. But that was. I laugh at it now, but when I was 12, it was like I thought I was going to die. Seriously, like I thought I haven't even got to high school yet, seen what the world's like, and I'm going to die in the middle of a pond in Wekiva Springs. So it was like, oh my gosh, but it's terror. It's terror. It was probably the worst experience I've ever seen at that time. Things get worse as you get older, but oh my gosh, dude, it was crazy.
Well, water's see something that a lot of people don't understand is water. In my opinion, is something like you were explaining. It's not something I play around with. I mean, there's plenty of things. Great swimmers, they get caught in situations and they drown or like. And I'm not a swimmer in general, so. Me and your buddies would have had a serious problem that day if they sat there and did that to me. I would have been extremely upset.
Right. You'd have been throwing some haymakers there.
Maybe more than that. I mean, that's
at that time in my life, I was not in a position to do that. I was like 4'9", like 136 pounds or something. You know what I mean? Like I was like, deep and wide, but it was, I don't know, man. That's something I'll never forget, man. That happened 30 years ago. And like I just told you, it felt like I was in that water when I was talking about it. And I'm like, oh my God, the main objective is don't die. I'm never going to see my family again.
Well, maybe this plays a part into it. I can remember my parents got divorced, and I was at my dad's girlfriend's house. It's my little brother's mom, but at the time, they were dating. My little brother wasn't even a thought. And they're inside, they're doing something on the computer, and it's a sliding glass door. The blinds are open, whatever those long plastic, I think they're blinds, yeah. And they're kind of facing at an angle where if they looked over their shoulder, they could see me, but if not, then they're paying attention. I think they were doing something on the computer. And I'm outside, and I can't swim, I can't whatever, and I'm by a pool, and I'm reaching in to get something that I dropped. It was one of those little torpedo sinker things, and like I have a pool net, whatever, and I'm reaching in. I'm probably 6 or 7, and I fall in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I fall in, and for about 20 seconds, I'm underwater, and like I can remember, I can remember basically my life flashing before my eyes. Like I literally thought I was going to die. I was going to drown. Yeah. And I remember hearing the sliding glass door just bust open, and she dived in and saved my life. I mean, I would have seriously drowned. And I think that plays a part of why I do not like water. I mean, at 6 or 7 years old, I about drowned, and who's to say that a different scenario where they didn't hear me fall in, would I be here? It almost makes me angry with myself because I couldn't save myself in that moment. Looking back at it, at the time, I was like, oh, I'm hopeless. But it's bad when I think anybody in this world who can learn how to swim and people can teach them, they need to go do it, because it's a serious thing. We live around water, so it's a serious thing.
I think it's bizarre that we start as we're like literally surrounded by water as a embryo, and into the stages of before we're born, and then water can still take us out. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you're like this doesn't make any sense at all. I think it's bizarre, and I do think that sometimes in the situation, our natural instincts can take over. You ever seen the videos where they just dump the kid in the water and he just starts swimming? Nobody taught the kid how to swim. It's a natural survival thing where a kid gets. I mean, there's people that have water bursts. Like they're in the water submerged, and the kid literally.
That's crazy.
I know. I don't understand the whole premise of it or why, but I mean, it happens all the time. I don't know if it still happens as much as it used to. A lot of people really didn't go to hospitals. There's a lot of people in this county that were born. Like I say, I was born in Leesburg. That's because that's where the hospital was. I didn't live in Leesburg, but that's the only way I could get. I was born there. But there's a lot of people that are in this county that. The older generation and the ones before then, they're like, yeah, I was born in my house. The doctor just came in and there it was, like it's a traditional, like you always see the old TV shows where the doctor's got his little bag. I'm like, what is he doing in the bag? And then somebody's gonna have a baby and they're like, all right, like in the middle of a storm or something, like, all right, give me boil some water and give me three sheets. And you're like, what are the sheets for?
See, that's insane. My immediate thought when you said, older people maybe around here and stuff and water birds, like, was anyone ever born, and this might sound dumb, but in Lake Pan? Like, I mean, like,
you never know. I mean, a lot of people they'll either do them in a pool or something like that, like a controlled, because especially now, you don't know what's in that water.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, but just say like 100 years ago, your chances were way better. You're not going to get amoebas in the child or inside you while you're delivering a baby.
It's still insane to me that someone would, and maybe I should look into that a little bit more. I probably won't, because I'm not really wanting to understand what a childbirth and water is. Yeah. But it's kind of interesting to think about that. I haven't thought about that in a long time since you brought that up.
Well, I know that was kind of random, but it does happen. No, I know, but a lot of people don't understand that really did happen. And then but then there's circumstances where you can't control where you're at when the baby's born. The baby's coming. It's not about where it happens. It's when it happens, because when it happens, it happens. It doesn't depending on where you are. It has nothing to do with it. There are stories of people having children in cars or something. I was delivered in the back seat of an Oldsmobile or something like that. Like, we almost made it. Hey, when Junior or the baby's coming, you gotta get ready. I've told this story before, but I went to a place where they had a natural birthing center, but I didn't know that at the time. And I get on the elevator. I was going to rent a camera lens for my camera. They had this company on the same floor as the natural birthing center. And I get on the elevator with this lady. She's pregnant. And all of a sudden she goes, she's like in pain, and I was like, she starts screaming, her water breaks. I was like, what in the hell? Like, what is going on? I've never seen anybody's water break. It was like she crushed a water balloon. It was crazy. But they, I didn't know at the time this was a natural birthing center. And so they ended up going up on the same floor. She goes, and then she's screaming. I'm like, oh, don't scream, please. I don't want people thinking I'm like hurting you. And as soon as the doors opened, there was a team of people. They knew she was coming. I could hear her. And I go to get my lens, and the guy says, sounds like we have another mommy. I said, it sounded like a mommy was on fire.
That's insane to me.
It was crazy.
That is insane.
But that's the way people used to do it. Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.